I saw my sister screaming on the shore as the ocean pulled me under and the world went black. In the darkness, I heard a thunderous splash as a slimy arm wrapped around me, squeezing my tiny frame and thrusting me into the sunshine and cool ocean mist. A colossal rubbery arm had seized me, jostling me about as I desperately gasped for the salty sea air. I caught sight of Susanna's pale face, her mouth agape with horror. The thought occurred to me that the beast gripping me would soon make a morsel out of me. I closed my eyes tightly and prayed that God would not forget me in the belly of this beast. Then I felt my body laid on the warm sands of the shore and heard my sister's sweet voice calling, "Matty, little Matty." With my eyes still closed, I felt her punch me in the shoulder and say, "You silly boy." "You obstinate silly boy," scolding and embracing me tightly. "Oh, my little Matty," she cried, holding me tighter than even the ocean beast had. Her scolding was interrupted by the loud foaming of water, and together we gazed into the black harbour, now bubbling and churning white. A massive, oblong red coral head, nearly 20 feet in height, cast off snowy bubbles and emerged with 2 enormous yellow eyes, each with large black pupils. 8 thrashing legs, each adorned with large yellow suction cups, supported the enormous head as they splashed rhythmically in and out of the frothing water. Then, in a deep bellowing voice that caused the water around him to churn, the creature spoke.
"Little human people, you must be careful venturing too deep into these waters. The riptide will pull you under, and you may never see the light of day again. The water looks calm and peaceful on the surface, but below are many dangers, including sharks."
I felt petrified, unsure if I was even alive, but Susanna ran up to the water's edge and faced the gigantic head protruding from the ocean depths. "Dear sir, thank you so much for saving my brother." She knelt as if praying and cried, "Thank you, great sir. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I apologize on behalf of my brother. He's a good boy, but he is young and foolish at times. Thank you." I screamed, "Sister, run! It is a sea monster, and he's liable to swallow you whole." The 8 legs splashing the water became still, and the voice roared in laughter.
"You teeny beasties! Haha, I have a feast of more substantial ocean creatures at my disposal. You bitsy critters have nothing to fear."
The legs splashed the water mightily as he burst forth, laughing for a few minutes until he became quiet and still, and the harbour waters slowly calmed. "Who are you?" Susanna cried. The beast roared.
"My name is Diggo, master of the sea. All things in the blue, they bow to me. With cod and halibut, tuna so bright, eels and anemones dazzling in light. Beautiful blue man of war, flowery jellies, sea turtles, rays and devilfish bellies. Sharks that hunt in the dark, fearsome and free. Kraken I am, ruler of the deep sea. Sailors at sea, they whisper my name, fear and reverence, they know my fame. Currents and tides, they heed my call, for I am Diggo, the master of all. But long ago, before the ocean's deep sway, on mountains steep, I held my day, ruling the sky and heaven's high reach, gazing at earth, its beauty in each. Green trees and flowers, valleys and plains, creatures high and low in sun's warm rays. My sister Ilime, with a jealous heart, envious of me from the very start. Mighty my post, over heaven's host, one day on a cloud where I did boast. Evening tide below, a mermaid did spy, leaning in closer, pushed from the sky. Fell I did, to the ocean's embrace, flailing in depths, my wings displaced. 8 splashing legs, where feathers had been, now in the sea, a new life to begin. Now here I dwell beneath the waves, with currents and creatures both fearful and brave. Ghosts in the castle I see from afar, and 2 small mites on a raft drifting by star. Dangerous and foolish, their plight touched me so. A cruel man chased them, down he must go. Took them over the sea, sank the man in disgrace, their bravery a beacon in the vast ocean's space. And so all the night tide I dwell neath the waves with the currents, the creatures, both fearful and brave. All that unfurls heed my decree from the depths of the boundless sea. In the future, when all land falls to the ocean, like mighty Atlantis in timeless motion, I will forever rule where the waves are free, from the depths of the boundless sea. From the depths of the boundless sea.
I watched scared to death that the beast would swallow Susanna whole, but so intrigued I was by his mention of sharks that I blurted out, "Sharks in the waters, you say?" Well, a shark swallowed our stepfather. The sea monster Digo once again bellowed in deep laughter.
Oh, that was just Theodore. Theodore, make your presence known.
A giant white shark leaped out of the ocean and quickly disappeared under the waters.
Theodore bit your stepfather and dragged him below so that you could escape, and I am the one who sent the wave that capsized his boat. Later, I sent the winds and current that took you safely to this shore.
Susanna cried, "Thank you again, sir, for your help. Still, that was a very wicked thing to do to our stepfather, even if he was a cruel, shameful, drunken man." I grew scared that Sis would make the beast right angry, so I replied, "Well, our stepfather had it coming, sir. I'm glad you took him under." Sometimes Susanna was a bit casual about expressing her ideas, Digo continued.
Little human people, I saw you two playing at the castle. Is this correct?
Are you spying on us? Susanna inquired.
Little human girl, Digo replied. This is my domain, and I see all things that happen here. You should not be playing in that castle. A heartbroken soul lives there and wishes to be left in peace.
Why is she heartbroken? Susan called out, but the beast calmly informed.
It is a matter that concerns you not. Be good little humans, and do not enter these dangerous waters or disturb the poor soul in the castle.
The large beast then quickly submerged itself below the waters, and concentric circles whipped about across the harbour, and as quickly as he had disturbed the waters, the harbour before us calmed as the waves once again gently flowed to the shore. That evening, we returned to the old stone manor and ate the fish sandwiches on stale bread. Butler, as was usual, ate quietly, not saying a word. I spoke up and mentioned the sea monster and how he had relayed the information of the sad soul in the castle across the shore. "Shh," Butler told us. "You do not want to disturb the sleeper. You should not pry into his business." The butler's strange words piqued Susanna's curiosity. "His business? But we were speaking of the sad spirit of a woman who lives in the castle across the harbour." Butler's pale face turned red in discomfort as Susanna continued, "How are we disturbing the peace of the sleeper by visiting that castle on the other side of the shore?" "Please, please," begged the butler, "leave the dead and the sleeping in their peace." Tears were welling in his eyes, and Susanna thought it best to leave the topic alone for now. But I saw a furrow on her forehead, and new curiosity was consuming her. That night, we lay by the warm fireplace, and Susanna thought out loud, "How do you suppose we were disturbing the sleeper by visiting the castle?" "Susanna, I do not know, but the sea beast warned us to stay away. Maybe, Susanna, it is best to leave it be." "Yes, brother, I suppose you're right. Susanna, do you think the butler will let us stay here forever?" "I do not know, Matty, but maybe we should be careful, like you said, and respect his wishes." The walls began rattling, and the windows reverberated as the loud snoring began shaking the whole house. I reckon my sister and I had gotten used to this noise by now. Kinda comforting, I reflected, like the ticking of an old reliable clock. I drifted off to sleep, and back to the island where Boris's voice was scolding me for running away and blaming me for the shark eating him. Saying it was all our fault, he chased me out of the lighthouse and to the sea, where he picked me up and threw me into the jaws of a large beast swimming around the island. I woke in the still darkness of that old house. Now Susanna be the one snoring, the only sound in the house. I walked around the room and looked out the dusty windows and saw the black harbour before me. Then, as I backed from the window, I tripped and came crashing down on the floor and onto Susanna. She sat up quickly and seemed half dead. "What? Where?" she finally came to. "Matty, what you waking me for?" "I was in the dead of sleep. What you waking me for?" Suddenly the whole house reverberated with the sleeper's loud snoring. "Sis, I've been real curious about what you said. How is our spying on the ghost having anything to do with this here sleeper?" "Well, I reckon I'm dreadfully curious." Sis could only yawn in response, she still being in the fog of sleep. I got off the floor and walked in the direction of the sleeper's loud snoring. Susanna scolded me in a whisper. "Brother, where do you think you're going?" "Shh, shh," I told Susanna. "You'll wake the sleeper." Susanna whispered again. "No, Matthew, we mustn't." "We mustn't," I argued. "Well, no one is forcing you to go with me." She leapt to her feet and pulled on my arm. "No, Matty," she continued whispering. "Well, I'm going to find out, sis. I'll just take a look and return before you fall back to your snoring." "I don't snore," she countered. Just as I was leaving the parlour and into the long hall, I heard, "Matty, wait up!" She about gave me a heart attack, and just as I reckoned, she was every bit as curious as I was. So she followed me anyway, as we sneaked down the long hallway that led to the sleeper's bedroom. Along the way, we passed windows that looked out onto the sea far below, and I wondered if Diggo might spy on us. I walked closer to the wall, far from the ocean side, just in case. Finally, we arrived at the sleeper's door. I was too scared to turn the knob. Susanna smirked at me and gently pushed me aside. Slowly, she creaked it open, and I popped my head in before she had a chance. By a flickering candlelight, I saw the outlines of the sleeper's room. Old, worn-out fishing poles, rusted pails, paintings of islands and shores, a sundial, a telescope pointed out the window looking out to the dark sea, several broken compasses, and a complete shark skeleton mounted on the wall. The sleeper, a frail old man, was snoring under thin, moth-torn sheets. His beard went halfway down the bed, and every hair on his body, from his beard and hairy arms to the long hair flowing from his skull, was white as snow. Susanna tapped me on the shoulder. "Hey, let me look!" When I turned around, I saw Butler with black eyes glaring at us through a lit candle. His face reddened with fury. His piercing black eyes glared right through me. His ears and nose twitched with furious disapproval, and his bony fingers pointed right at my pounding heart. Susanna's head and neck were still peeping into the sleeper's quarters, and she hadn't a clue that Butler had discovered our betrayal.